Alrighty, hello everyone, and welcome back to our lovely virtual programming. For anyone that has been here since even week one, welcome back, and for everyone else that is new, hi, I'm Coach Stephanie. So before we begin, I want you guys, and I'm actually going to type in the number as well into the chat. I want you guys to text this number, which is 312 869 2729. Again, that is 312 869 2729. And I want you guys to type in I want you guys to text your name and the school you go to with that phone number that we gave you guys. So that way, one, we know who is watching, and two, we also want to make sure to keep you guys' information as private as possible. And while we do that, we're also going to start off with our lovely 5-year contract. So we're going to first start off with safety. So as stated earlier, I want to make sure you guys' information is as private as possible because I don't want no one to steal your information. So I don't want you guys to share any of your personal information that involves your name, the school you go to, and the location you're at, like your address or your neighborhood, in the comments. So I'm okay with you guys posting comments into the chat, especially if you guys have a question. But I want to make sure you guys' information stay as private and anonymous as possible. The next one is going to be commitment. So, not for this video because we are going to be doing a chat, but I still want you guys to be listening and making sure you're still presenting yourself and try to participate in the comments. So, as stated, if you have questions about something I'm going to mention today, feel free to ask and I can slow down as well if needed. The next one is respect. So I will be watching everything on here, and I definitely do not want to see any negative or put down comments during time, as well as I don't want no one to overtalk people or put anyone down during our lovely chats that we have later on. And then our next one is going to be teamwork. So I'm okay with positive comments. You can even say hi. So hello. I saw someone say hi earlier. And of course, as stated, I'll definitely go over everything. And if you want to invite your family as well, that's totally fine. The more the merrier, I like to say. And remember, we follow all of these. We're going to have fun. So we're gonna be doing mainly a chat today. That's why I named the video "Let's Chat." So we're gonna be learning a lot of information about it. And of course, because I did a lot of research about this, I will be leaving all of my links if you want to know a little bit more information, or if you're just curious as to what I was talking about. All that will be down below. And those links will be up until Monday if you want to check back with them during the weekend. So, as stated, I mainly just wanted to chat with you guys today. That's why I named the video Let's Chat, because I want to teach as well as explain certain things of a certain subject. I might do another one in the future, so if you ever see a Let's Chat on the screen, you know this will be more of a chat-based type of video. So for anyone that was watching my videos for the last few weeks, you guys know that I was teaching sign language. And before I decided to teach myself the basic information, I thought it was like just cool and interesting. But I really never thought about using it in the outside world because as of now, none of my friends are deaf. Everyone is able to talk and hear. And every time I went to school, no one ever had this type of problem. And I actually have a lovely story to tell you as to why it's best that, you've been learning for 3 weeks and at least knowing the basics of it. So I have a lovely story to mention. So one time I was working in retail, also at just a regular grocery store. And it was this man that I was like, okay, I was like, hi, next guest. And the guy was coming down, and I was wondering why was he on his phone. He didn't have any eyes. I was like, oh, I guess maybe he just out here to ask a question. I saw his phone, and he stated that, oh, hi, I am deaf, and I was wondering if you could help me find something. Now, I did not know any type of sign language at all. He did not have a translator to help me translate him. So it took me over half an hour just to try to help him out, see if we could find a certain item, and then of course he left. So I felt bad. Oop. Okay. So the school. So the school. So the school that you go to is like the school that you went to. Like, let's say you went to like if you go to elementary, if you go to a high school, you gotta put that in the phone number that's in the chat box. So that, which is the 312-865-2729. All right. So I felt bad at the time because I was like, oh, unfortunately, I cannot really help him the way I want to because technically, so I didn't know sign language, and we just had to chat through phone. It was kind of like what I like to say a language barrier because we couldn't say anything about it, and it was just like that weird situation of like, oh, I wish I knew sign language so I could try to help the guy. But that's the cool part of ASL because it was meant to help people who are deaf and they can't hear. But this mainly means, as we go and hop into our topic, this just means that since they can't hear with sound, this is a disability known as a sensory disability. And of course, I checked a lot of research to make sure I understand, make sure I was giving out the right information. But I also want to make sure to state, before I even mention anything about this, I am not a professional. I am not a doctor. I'm going off of information that I did my research in. As stated, if you guys want to check back, all my stuff will be below. And this is also coming from just me seeing things also from a personal perspective, just growing up. So according to a website I went to called Amori, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it wrong, Amori.com, the definition for a sensory disability is a disability of the senses. So these are like your common 5 senses when it comes to your sight, your hearing, your smell, touch, and taste. Like so. So my retail story is mainly an example of someone with a sensory disability because he could not hear my voice at all, and we had to try to communicate through technically texting. But of course, he was able to see his surroundings, which is how when I raised my hand to talk to, say like, oh, can the next person come on by? He knows like, okay, I'm here to see the next person. But of course, he couldn't hear me, but because I had my hand up, he's like, okay, he knows like I'm next in line. So another example of a sensory disability is blindness. So of course, blindness and deaf can also vary. Sometimes they're born with it, and sometimes they might have lost it as they just get older in life. So an example of what's not technically a sensory disability, as you see, I wear glasses. And when it comes to glasses, I'm technically nearsighted. So for example, as I take off my glasses, I can still read anything. I can read anything on my YouTube. But of course, I have a clock further down, so I can also keep track of time. I can't read that clock at all because it's very blurry to me. So I can still technically see, it's just a bit fuzzy. So this does not really mean that I have a sensory disability. I can still see. Whereas someone who's blind, so let's say you close your eyes for a second. So my eyes are closed. If you want to follow, you can also close your eyes. You can't see anything. Your eyes are closed. So like, as you know, I had water earlier. I don't know where I put it at because I can't see it and I don't want to knock it over. And then that's the type, so they can't see at all. Same with deaf people, they can't hear at all. And then there's sometimes, due to that, sometimes more than one sensory can be off. So I actually have a little bit of information about a perfect example of this. So a little bit of a history lesson, if you want to state. So there's this wonderful lady known as Helen Keller. Helen Keller could not see nor hear at all. She lost this ability when she was about 1.5 years old, so as an infant. She had to rely on just learning how to read and write through Braille, which is how blind people, as stated earlier with the language barrier, that's how blind people are able to read and write so they can understand. Whereas deaf, of course, they use sign language to try to talk and communicate. But of course, since she couldn't see or hear, she had to very focus on touch most of the time. So of course, touching is just like touching your skin, touching your face, even touching like the mouse. So I know like, okay, this feels like a mouse as I'm moving my mouse around a bit. I'm moving a mouse, so like, okay, I know this is a mouse. See, I can see that this is a phone, but for someone else, this could be anything else. Or like, let's say you have money, money is paper, but so is a receipt. And that being combined, you have to really feel the texture because sometimes you might think, oh, this might be money, but it might be just regular paper or a receipt as an example. So she had to rely on touch the most, but she also learned Braille to read and write and used certain type of hand signals to try to talk, but of course she still had a translator, so that way the person can also translate to other people, which is why it's very important when you're learning sign language, you also have to focus on just the movement of your hands because someone's going to try to read those types of movements. Like for example, so let's say that I'm deaf. So let's say I'm deaf. And of course, I was like saying, hello, my name is, and then I'll spell out my name. So that's my name is in sign language, and a deaf person has to focus on your hands because if you're just moving around a lot, it might not really work or the person might get confused. Whereas someone that is blind, for example, they'll probably like, okay, I have a sightseeing dog. I'm pretty sure you've seen people with sightseeing dogs before, so that can help them move around. Or you probably even saw like those white little canes with a red tip on the bottom of it. And you see like just them moving around because since they can't see, they use the cane just going back and forth. One, to feel the ground to make sure like, oh, if I need to step down, they'll tap it. It's like, okay, this is maybe a step or I'm near some stairs, so I'm going to step down. Or maybe when you're walking by and you might hear like a little, when you're like walking and you go through a walkway, you're probably like, oh, okay. I hear the beep, I hear the censoring going off means I'm able to walk now, which is why you always make sure like I always say, always help people that can't see, but of course sometimes people might not want help because they just want to get by as time goes on. So before I also continue, I am going to state again, because we're kind of near the halfway point now, I want you guys to put your name and the school that you go to the phone number of 312-869-2729. So that way we can keep track of who is watching as well as technically take attendance. So that way we know like, oh, you were watching the video, even if you're in and out. So I just talked about sensory disabilities. As stated, there are different types. I just only wanted to mention two because these are the most common ones, which is deaf and sight. As stated, there are other senses that can throw people off. And of course, it also varies because as stated, I wear glasses. I can still see. So now we're going to talk about mobility disabilities. So of course, mobility is different from sensory, but it's still considered a physical one. So according to a website from Colorado State University, mobility impairment refers to an inability of a person to use one or more of the person's extremities, or a lack of strength to walk, grasp, or even lift objects. The use of wheelchairs, crutches, or walker may be utilized to aid in mobility. And mobility impairment is technically just the same way of stating physically, I have a disability. So you probably see, so as I stated the three items earlier, you probably seen whether it was in real life or maybe on television shows or movies. So it kind of varies on why they probably use it. For some cases, it could be from a birth defect. And the birth defect just means like a body part was probably not developed right while they were being born. Sometimes genetics can be the cause of it. But those are still rare scenarios where it can happen technically to anyone. And of course, other situations because of an accident, whether it's very severe or not. So I'm going to use a broken foot as an example. So you can also answer the questions in the comments if you want to. Have you ever sprained your ankle before? I have, and it's very painful. Because you probably just need some ice on it. You probably have to like put your foot like down on a pillow or just lay down so that way you don't put any pressure or weight onto your foot. And it'll probably go away within a day or two. Does it still hurt? Yes, but nothing's really broken, which is the term sprained. Like you can probably sprain your wrist. That just means you can't like you just don't want to put any pressure on it. You just put maybe some ice or something cold on it. Maybe even like do cold and heat compressions to make sure it doesn't like hurt or bruise or even gets worse. So that's something different. A higher intensity of this is this, let's say you broke like a bone or your body went one way and your foot went the other way and it twisted pretty hard. That's when you probably will need a cast. So, but at least with a cast, it can still heal. You probably just can't walk that well because either A, you can reopen a wound or mess up a cast, or B, you can actually cause more of a serious injury. That's where you're going to choose between a wheelchair or crutches. Now, I'm pretty sure you've seen crutches before. Crutches is like those little sticks that has like a handle, and then you just put your arms kind of like this, and you have to use it to like walk, or just but you usually have like your foot up and like you're hopping on one foot. So you ever hop on one foot? That's kind of like how people have to walk with crutches. So you probably have a hard time going up the stairs with them because you might have to hold on to a bar and you have to like technically hop up the stairs. And I've seen my friends do it before in high school because one of them broke their foot during track and field and he had to be on crutches for a while, but at least that can still heal. And they always told me that it was never fun. And it kind of hurts your arms after a while because the crutches actually have to be under your arms and you're putting all of your weight on there because you're trying to maintain your balance. This is why we stay safe, kids. But like I stated, it still takes time and it still varies from person to person, but you can still heal from that. Now we're gonna get to the worst case scenario. So let's say the foot's broken and it cannot be saved. Like the bone is like, so I don't want to get too gory. So let's just say the bone can't be repaired, no matter what. This is where you kind of have to get rid of it, or known as amputate. This just means they cut your foot off. So when this happens, there's certain types of outcomes that can happen. You could get a new foot by a human transplant. You can use modern technology and technically have a robotic foot or at least a titanium bone. You can use one of those little metal sticks that you can just put onto your leg, so that way it helps you maintain your balance as well. Or you use a wheelchair. So these are certain examples, but it's also based off of choices and what works for the person. Some person just wants to deal with a wheelchair. Some people might be able to just have a robotic foot. You usually see more common with a robotic hand. I've seen it before. I thought it looked pretty cool. But we're going to use a wheelchair for this situation. So people in wheelchairs usually can't move from the waist down because I say maybe they have an amputated foot or amputated leg, or something happened with their spinal cord, which is related to your back, and they are considered paralyzed and they just can't move from the waist down. But they can still move their hands, they can still move their neck, their face, their body in general. So the situation is with people with crutches, they can still technically use the stairs because I stated only one foot is just out of commission and they just can't put pressure on it. But they can still at least hop. Unfortunately, with a wheelchair, they cannot do this because they don't have the wheel accessibility to just roll wheels up the stairs, which I wish they can fix that, but unfortunately they cannot. So that's a certain type of disadvantage between crutches and a wheelchair. So because of this, like, okay, maybe they just might just like use a ramp instead. That's why we have those little ramps when people can't use the stairs. because it's easier for people just to roll with the wheels just to go up a ramp instead. Some schools I've seen have elevators for people who have wheelchairs, and that helps them travel up and down floors, which is a very good idea to have in all schools. So that way, like, oh, if anything happens, or because maybe of a birth defect, I have to be in a wheelchair, they can still move around and be functional. But of course, sometimes they might need extra help just to grab something from the store because they probably just can't reach a higher level. Or maybe like the wheel might got stuck on something, so they might have to try and move the wheelchair around. Sometimes people push people with a wheelchair. That's why you see those little handles, so that way they can just push them out. And you've probably even seen hospitals use wheelchairs or specific wheelchairs to help people move around, whether they just can't really walk that well, or because they might have just got a surgery and they're just trying to maintain whatever energy they have. So of course, a wheelchair always varies. And I'm pretty sure you even see people that you probably see in parking lots that have like a handicap kind of areas. We have those there so that way people who, like for example, let's use a walker. You usually see walkers more with old people or people trying to learn how to carefully walk after maybe a surgery, or you just try and get back on your feet. Like those little things, you probably see like a little tennis ball at the bottom of it. And you just see like rolling and just walk slowly. They usually have handicap spots because of this. That way they can get to a location or from point A to point B a little bit quicker compared to, let's say you park like all the way back into the parking lot of a grocery store, and you're still able to at least walk over there at a normal pace, or even a faster pace if you want to run. People with motor disability can't really run, or they can probably trip and unfortunately will probably hurt themselves. So it's best that you try. So that's why they have these types of spots. You usually see it as like it's usually like a person that looks like it's in a wheelchair. I like to call like the down C kind of look, to say like, okay, this person is handicapped. You might have seen like little pictures of the handicap on the mirror, on the where that like that little headlight mirror on top of the car. Usually you'll see like fuzzy dice as an example of there. And they say like, okay, this person is identified by the state as a handicapped person because of course normal people can't park in a handicapped spot or else they can get in trouble. So we as a society try to make sure we try to help people who are handicapped, whether it's temporarily or permanent, because that way we can try to help them as quickly as we can, and especially if it's temporary, they can try to heal quicker. So this is just a nice way for society to stay like, oh, we need these certain items because of it. Sometimes it's not the person's fault that they have a disability as of right now, because like I said, it could have been from birth or it could have been even by an accident. So I want you guys to mainly remember that a lot of people can still make a difference, even with a certain type of disability, because of the fact that, oh, maybe last day it can be temp or permanent. But that doesn't mean that they make them less human, of course. Everyone's different in their own type of way. And that honestly makes everyone unique. So with that, we're almost running out of time. So I want to say thank you guys for joining to our virtual programming today. I really hope that you enjoyed today's programming. And if you guys want to have more chats like this, I am totally up for it. So if you guys want to join any of our other virtual programming, we have one for Monday. Coach Matthew will be leading programming at 2 to 2:30. And you can also just follow the same link that I followed for this video, which is www.girlsinthegame.org/live or www.girlsinthegame.org/virtual. So you can also catch up on all of our other videos. And if you guys are going to be joining from our team time, please follow the link that will provide in your invitation emails. If there's any problems, of course, you can always text 312-869-2729, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. Also, do not forget to follow Girls in Game via Facebook or Instagram if you also want to find more videos and information, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. So that way, you can always be caught up through all the videos that we have and all of our past videos. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.